So later tonight, we will have the official reveals for the Goku Black and Zamasu tag card and the Blue Goku and Vegeta tag card. I did go ahead and make concepts for these guys as always. I wouldn't say I'm a little late to it, but uploading the day of is kind of closing it close. But I do want to talk about just, what my final expectations for what I hope for these characters to be are. Now, based on what we know, these characters are not actually fusing permanently into Vegeta and Zamasu. They're only fusing within the active skill and then doing an attack. It's not 100% confirmed, but that's pretty much what they said. So with that in mind, that's how I made these concepts as well. Now, I believe the main reason why they did this is because they likely want to focus on the tag mechanic specifically. And again, the tag kind of theme seems a bit strong in here in terms of the new event that we received, which was the team battle. I think that we'll be getting a lot of extra stages in here involving like characters that will basically be able to reversible exchange just like the enemies in the cement. Funny enough, these first two stages, we do not have reversible exchange versions of these characters. I'm sure we will get them in the future, but for now, I think it's going to be also introducing the new LRs that will be introduced in this, celebration, which would be 4 LRs actually in total, that are all tag reversible exchange is what I'm thinking. So with that in mind, I guess that's why they went with this, but while I don't really agree that this is the best choice, I think that they could still make the kits very interesting. And I think if they really do focus on the tag mechanic in a special way, these characters could look really, really unique in terms of other characters. And I really would like to see more of an incentivized reason for tag switching besides only solely like stacking. Like, I think, even my concepts are just only touching the surface of what we could see from like characters benefiting from tag switching into another character, because right now pretty much it is, of course, the different kit is pretty cool. Like Vegeta, for example, here would be slot 2, then Goku right here is slot 1, and then it's just a stacking there. But I think they could do even more with it if they really wanted to. So that's what I attempted to do a little bit here with these concepts, is kind of push farther into the boundary of what they could do potentially with like tag skills. So we're going to start things off with Blue Goku and Vegeta. I'm sure that's the one people want to see the most. I do think that this character will be a Carnival LR. I do not think it's going to be a Dokkan Festival LR for this character here. But to make up for that for a lot of people, I gave them a 220% leader skill for Bond and Parent, and Child, right? Out of the categories they have available, this is one of the ones that have not been updated. I mean, we could literally take a look there. But Bond and Parent and Child, the last leader skill character we've had for this was Vegeta and Trunks, right? And this is a card with the Vegeta and Trunks moment, right? Vegeta's active skill is going to be Vegeta and Trunks. So with that in mind, I think this could be a Bond and Parent and Child leader, which would be very good. I mean, there's so many good characters on here. It would be extremely, extremely powerful. I mean, the 10th anniversary LRs, almost all of them are on here, besides no, actually all of them are on here, yeah. See, that's already pretty huge. This the 7th anniversary ZAs, right? Path Park Goku would be really on here, right? He wouldn't actually support them, but there's a lot of characters here. He has the damage reduction support, right? Then Superclass Key through and 180% attack and defense, excluding Bond and Parent and Child characters. Again, I think that with that in mind, I do think that there'll also be super and extreme class leaders. Every single like Goku Black, Zamasu kind of, and then Vegito-ish dual Dokkan Festival does have a super class and extreme class leader skill kind of set up in their kit. So I do think it'll be the same here. And 180%, maybe it'll be 170%. I just went with this here. I think that would be fair. I also believe it's key 4 actually for these leader skills, my bad. 12 key super attack effect. Stacks defense, greatly raises attack for 4 turns and causes colossal damage to enemy. 18 key super attack, greatly raises defense, massively raises attack for 4 turns, and then causes mega colossal damage to enemy. Right, so this is again where Goku will be powering up the next turn. But a little bit of a spoiler alert, the reason why is because of the ability to exchange into Vegeta. Activates entrance animation upon the character's entry. I did make this a turn 1 reversible exchange. I truly think if they want to focus on these characters as tag characters, they need to make them a turn 1 exchange. That's one of the biggest disappointments I have for the Goku and Frieza card, that these guys are not a reversible exchange character. I really don't understand why. I mean, again, this could have been at the very beginning of the card. This seems like more of an intro animation to me than an exchange, right? So I am unfortunately, to play it safe, I will assume that these characters will not be a turn 1 reversible exchange, but they should be. And that's my opinion. And then once you reversible exchange Key 3 and 18% attack, only if this character has not performed it prior within the same turn. And the reason for that is because, again, I don't want you to switch back and forth between Goku and Vegeta every single turn, or like multiple times in the same turn and get like a billion attack, right? Now, the idea is that you switch into Vegeta. Vegeta will give you a Key 3 and extra attack here, which would be really, really huge. You could technically switch back into Goku from there, but Goku is a defensive version of the character. He would not really benefit from getting the extra attack. I mean, it's better than getting nothing, but again, the idea is that you want to consistently switch between these two. And I told you the idea of potentially having this exchange a once turn thing, so you could exchange into Vegeta. Even though it's from turn 1, you can only do it once a turn, and then you can exchange back. That's the alternative. And I feel like, again, I just want it to be a thing where you switch back and forth between these two consistently. But also, these characters are not necessarily, like, they're doing different roles, so I don't want you to feel like if you have a set rotation with this character than another character, and then the other character is your slot 2, it's like you're never going to switch to Vegeta. So at least you can get a little bit of the benefit from here by doing this, right? But let me know what you guys would think about that, or what you would do about that. Then for the first 4 turns, Key 5, 100% attack and defense, and then an additional 20% chance to evade enemy attacks, which will just help very much in shorter content for these characters, because they are going to be characters that mostly build up. Key 5 and 200% attack and defense, 40% reduction, guard, and then a 50% chance of baseline to dodge, so that is 70% for the first 4 turns. When attacking, Goku gets 200% attack, and then an additional 100% attack for 4 turns. Launches an additional super attack guaranteed, and then high chance to perform a critical hit. Superclass allies also gain 25% attack and defense for 2 turns as a little bit of a supportive buff. When receiving an attack, Goku does get 200% defense, which again incentivizes him as a slot 1 character, as like he could be around there, but technically doesn't have to be. For every attack received or evaded, 5% damage reduction rate up to 10% within the same turn. Then he does get 5% attack the next attacking turn after he performs reversible exchange. And again, the idea is that this is applied to just Vegeta. Again, I don't know what the exact wording for this would be. Obviously, it's like, again, it's applied to just Vegeta only. So maybe it's like, it could be attack 5% when next attacking with Vegeta after performing reversible exchange. I think that would be probably the wording to use properly here, but I'm not going to type in and change it. You guys get what I'm trying to go from here. Like, this would be as Vegeta when you attack, right? Vegeta would get the extra attack. Goku sitting in slot 1 and doing his job would let Vegeta in slot 2 do his job as an attacker, right? When activating the active skill, 300% attack, and then performs a crit temporarily, foresees enemy super attacks for 5 turns. Of course, this is because Vegeta Blue. The condition is 5th turn from start of battle. I think it's fair to say 5th turn, just an easy, nice condition. No other HP restrictions, no category restrictions, just this HP. Then the effect will actually cause ultimate damage. Evades enemy attacks 100% within the turn, and then at 30% defense support for all allies within the turn as well. So, again, Vegeta is providing a little bit of a supportive buff here, but also giving the Goku guaranteed dodge in that same turn. And you have the Scouter, and for the 5 turns after that, this will just, I feel like this will hit pretty hard just in general. And again, you'll see Vegeta actually is an attack stacker, right? So that also powers up this Vegeta Blue active skill if you use it. But yeah, that's kind of the idea behind that. So You could technically also still get this if you just decide to stay into Goku that turn and you want to use Vegeta's active. You at least will have this and this up. But ideally, you do switch into the blue Vegeta. And again, we'll talk about it right here. STR, you may have noticed int here, right? Again, I'm not sure this really matters too much because Goku is like a defensive character. I feel like for defensive characters, typing don't matter as much. Especially those who are guarding or dodging, right? Blue Vegeta, you know, as an offensive character, being STR also doesn't really matter unless there's like a lot of physical enemies around. But again, I think an interesting thing that could happen is maybe type switching. But at the same time, I'm not sure if it matters too much with how many times characters already have built-in crit and things like that. Right? It is what it is. Maybe if it's a thing of, oh, this character doesn't have built-in crit like that, you would give them full crit and hit potential. Power Band Super Saiyan, of course, same Lyra skill. Now Vegeta is the reverse super attack effects. Vegeta greatly raises attack, 100% defense raise for 4 turns of Mega Colossal, 12 keys, 30% attack raise, 30% defense raise for 4 turns, and colossal damage. The reason why I made this less is because Vegeta, well, actually Vegeta does attack more in terms of super attacks, so that's why it's actually not a 50% raise like the blue Goku does have, right? Plus defense is a lot stronger anyways of a raise there. So basic effects can perform reversible exchange with blue Goku. Then if you exchange it to blue Goku, you get key 3 and 18% defense compared to Vegeta getting key 3 and 18% attack, right? And again, you see switching into Goku will allow you to get the extra defense. And again, you can't switch back and forth and get both of them because you can only activate it once within the turn. So realistically, you could think of, hey, you know, if you switch into Vegeta and then switch back into Goku, you can't give Goku the 18% defense. Or vice versa, if you switch into Vegeta, or if you run Vegeta into Goku, you get the defense, but then you switch back into Vegeta, you don't keep the attack here, right? But the next turn, if you stay as Goku, then you would be able to get the attack for Vegeta. So that's kind of the idea there, I guess, right? Key 5, 200% attack. I say I guess, as though I'm not the one who made it. Key 5, 200% to spaceline, 50% reduction, additional super attack guaranteed, and 70% crit chance. So you see Vegeta doesn't have guard, but in exchange, he has extra crits and the additional super attack just in his basic effects here. When attacking, 200% attack, 200% defense, 100% defense for 4 turns, which again, that 4 turn will carry over to the next turn, and then you can switch to Blue Goku, who will keep that 100% defense. Additional super attack guaranteed, and then superclass allies 50% attack. For every attack performed, 5% damage reduction up, and then up to 100% or up to 10% within the same turn here. And again, this is a multiplicative buff, by the way. This would make that 3rd slot character hit a lot harder, right? But it's kind of what I was going for here. So damage reduction rate 5% up to 10%. He will get up to 60% reduction here from attacking. Then 10% defense the next attacking turn after performing reversible exchange, which would again feed directly into the blue Goku as well. So this is not a permanent buff, but it's just like extra defense that Goku gets on top of this, which again, Vegeta doing well benefits Goku. On the active skill, 200% attack and performs a critical hit temporarily. This Vegeta and Trunks active skill has less attack just because Vegeta is just naturally a more damage-dealing character. So, yeah. Then additional super attack launched for 5 turns guaranteed with Vegeta, so pretty good there. Active skill, of course, as a Vegeta and Trunks, can be performed from the 5th turn. Ultimate damage, and then he guards, and all allies get 30% defense for 1 turn, 30% attack for 1 turn. I was thinking of changing this just because he probably doesn't even need the guard like that. But also, I mean, just the extra safety net could be cool. Like at the end of like these really long fights, this could just be a nice little effect to have for Vegeta in case you want to stick to Vegeta at the end and just kind of deal mega damage to the enemy. So anyways, this is kind of the idea where you are getting a lot of incentives from switching back and forth with these multiple turn raises in their kit, and you know, them doing well benefit the other side of the exchange. So I kind of do like this where it's a constant exchange back and forth, and you know, you can even have this character and the friend character as a rotation, then it's a thing of you just switch back and forth between those two as Goku and Vegeta each turn, which would be super helpful. So next we have Goku Black and Zamasu here, and I think Goku Black and Zamasu I did also feed into this idea, but compared to Blue Goku and Vegeta, I made Blue Goku and Vegeta first. I can actually kind of like how I made Zamasu a little better, because I also focused on, hey, you know, this character will be potentially a huge helper for extreme class characters, right? As a Dokkan Fest character, they will have a Dokkan Fest leader skill. And then I was like, hey, what if they led powerful opponents? I think powerful opponents as a category leader skill would be really good for villains, right? So this, why not, right? One day they'll add it, surely, right? Realm of Gods or Super Bosses, key 3 and 200% attack, and then 170% attack and defense. Then an additional 50% HP attack and defense for characters in Time Travelers or Battle of Fate. So again, like the really big villains would get the full buff, and then all the Goku Black and Zamasus would also fit in here. But just in case, extreme class characters outside of this leader skill do still get 180% HP attack and defense, right? Of course, excluding the main category characters here. So for Goku Black, 12 key stacks attack and defense and then causes colossal damage. 18 keys at 100% attack and defense raise for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage to enemy. Passive skill, meets up with Zamasu, performs reversible exchange if you want to on the entrance animation. Then if you exchange in Zamasu, you actually do recover 20% HP. Extreme class allies also get key 2 and 30% attack defense for the rest of battle. So this character is just permanently supporting Goku Black, or not Goku Black Zamasu characters, but just villains in general, which again is kind of busted, but also like villains never get as much love for the most part anyway, so I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Key 5, 200% attack and defense, 60% damage reduction rate, launches an additional super attack guaranteed, 70% chance to perform a critical hit, and then all enemies get a 25% attack and defensive debuff. Goku Black does get 300% attack when attacking, 200% defense when attacking, 70% chance to launch an additional super attack here, which would give him an extra stack. Extreme class allies also do gain 25% attack and defense for 2 turns, just like with the Blue Goku. For every attack performed, 60% attack and defense within the turn, then 2% damage reduction rate the next attacking turn after exchanging into Zamasu. So Zamasu would get 2% extra damage reduction for every attack that this Goku Black does perform. On the active skill, 200% attack and performs critical hits, then changes key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres for 5 turns, including turns he's not present. So even on the next rotation, this character would be able to create rainbow key spheres for villain characters after you use the active skill, which, I mean, I think saving the active skill for a finisher would make sense, but also it could be like, okay, if I'm in the middle of the fight and I really want to prioritize rainbow key spheres at a certain point, this is just another supportive ability by, you know, having Goku Black use his active skill. Then the active skill condition is the 5th turn start of battle. The effect causes ultimate damage and then disables all enemy attacks after this character attacks. So you could risk it putting this character in slot 1 and then destroy all the attacks after, but if this character is in slot 2, the slot 3 character is completely protected. So it is a half team protector ability. Of course, this guy is not a slot 1 character, but I mean, being able to protect the slot 3 character guaranteed in a turn could also be very beneficial and potentially allow you to run some certain weaker villain characters that wouldn't be as good, which again is super useful for villains in general, being able to have that option of, hey, you know, let's say, I mean, maybe you do want to run physical Kid, right? Obviously not nearly as great as he once was. When he released, he was pretty nice with the 60% reduction, but now will just get creamed. But then at the end of fights, you could just use the Rosy Goku Black's active, and then he's completely protected in slot 3, right? And it'll help a lot of these villain characters that maybe have not aged as well defensively to still be relevant if they're able to hold their own throughout most of the fight. Like, for example, Kid Buu in the Jiren fight, you could probably be able to run him there because at least he has type advantage against the Jiren, right? So, like, in that situation, AGL Jiren would be very scary for him, but you could just use his active skill with Goku Black Zamasu and you're good. So, that's the idea behind that. Of course, with physical Zamasu here, again, it's type switching here. the Tech Super Saiyan Rose, then Physical Zamasu here. Zamasu does actually stack 50% on the 18 key super attack, still 30% on the 12 key, but he also does provide extreme class allies 30% defense for 1 turn, excluding himself. Zamasu, I think you could very clearly tell, will be a slot 1 character. Reversible exchange is available with the Rose Goku Black. Then Goku Black does get 18% attack, just like the Vegeta after you exchange into him. So, key 5 and 200% attack and defense, 50% damage reduction rate up, guards all attacks, launches an additional super attack, and here's the interesting part here: powerful opponent, 6% damage reduction support. So the new category characters will get power damage reduction. Again, I talked about Kid Buu earlier. That boy would be getting this defensive buff and then 6% reduction. Or just like villain characters in general. Let's say you're running Buhan on the team. He would get the extra 6% reduction in defense here. Then he does also debuff enemies, which again could be good for battle hardened foes. I mean, if you have this character and Rose in the rotation, that's a 50% attack debuff. Would be insane, right? When receiving an attack or when attacking, right? 200% attack, 300% defense, super effective against all types, and then extreme class allies get 50% defense here. So this is again the opposite of what the Blue Vegeta was doing. Blue Vegeta is providing the 50% attack here, as Zamasu would be providing 50% defense multiplicative, which again, this on top of the consistent extreme class support going on, plus the damage reduction support. That's a lot. That's a lot that Zamasu is providing, even though his own personal damage is not going to be anything crazy at all. Like, he's going to be stacking for Goku Black, but also supporting while as being a slot 1 tank. For every attack received, 50% defense within the turn. Then Goku Black would basically get an extra 5% attack for every attack received when you switch to Goku Black the next turn. On the active skill, that is the Fusion Zamasu active skill, 500% attack and perform a critical hit. Just because I think, compared to like Vegeta, this character is not going to stack as much attack. And also, this character is the defensive variant, so that's why I gave him a lot of the extra attack compared to Goku Black and Zamasu, right? I guess Goku Black and Zamasu should probably be 300% based off of what I'm saying there. One little change to make there. Then a Scouter for 5 turns, just because it's a fusion. That's pretty much the only reason why. Can also be performed from the 5th turn from start of battle. Then the effect would be a 50% attack temporary raise with ultimate damage, and directs enemy attacks towards the character for 1 turn. So he does get a Team Protector ability. I should also add this to the Rose Goku Black active too, if I don't have that there, because that also makes sense, because again, they're not stacking as much attack as I feel like the blues would be, like, because Vegeta has all this attack stacking, bro. Those active skills gonna hit really hard because of that. So this character would really benefit from getting the extra little attack here and things like that. But yeah, no, Zamasu would be able to receive all attacks, which again, this does feed into, what's it called? This right here. The only issue I could see, obviously, is like if you use this active skill and then this active skill at the same time, like with both Goku Black and Zamasu in the rotation, but there wouldn't be a reason to do that because the fact that, like, they're both a bit Team Protector abilities, but again, this is the idea behind this is that it'll protect your team, right? So could help a lot of these weaker villain characters kind of who would struggle at the end, even though we might not get as many villain buffs, they could potentially be a lot more runnable with this character protecting them and supporting them. So that's the idea behind this. And of course, like keeping like a lot of their similar kind of Goku Black and Zamasu kind of things, but I'm especially excited for a character like this because if they really delve into them being different but still helping extreme class in a really good way, that would be very, very exciting. But these are my 2 concepts for these characters. Hope you guys did enjoy. We'll know what these characters do later tonight. It will be live, probably like either 30 minutes to an hour before then, so stay tuned. But again, appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later tonight. Peace out.